Welcome to the Mesh Movement and Independent Hustle Training's Monday night training. If I can just get you all to pop yourselves on mute, that'd be amazing. Well, welcome to the call, and thank you all for spending your most valuable commodity with us tonight, and that's your time. We really, really appreciate it, and I can tell you it will be a commodity and time well spent. Sam is our speaker tonight. He's our trainer, and he's going to share some amazing stuff tonight. I don't want to give away too much, but anytime you get a chance to see this man speak on a live or anywhere he's speaking, look him up and get on there, because Sam and I go back. We got trained in NLP together, and to say that I admire this man in all areas of life would be an understatement. He's like a gentleman. He's an amazing father. And he's an amazing businessman, and his story is just going to blow you away, and why he does what he does is just tremendous. So you're all going to fall in love with his story, and you're going to feel the power of his movement. And look, I'm not going to babble on anymore. Sam, mate, just take it away. The floor is yours.
Joel, you're a king. Thank you. Yeah, first and foremost, I just want to say how grateful I am to be on the call, and I just want to reciprocate a bit of that, niceties from Joel, because, mate, I have equal and probably more respect for yourself as well, and I relish the opportunity to do anything with you at any point, even if it's just speak on one of your calls. So, no, thanks so much, Joel. I really appreciate the introduction, and guys, I'm super pumped this evening. So if you're not pumped yet, then get pumped right now. Awesome. All right, so what I thought I'd do to begin with is just give you guys a brief introduction as to what to expect throughout the coaching call itself. Number one, make sure, as I said 5 minutes ago or so, that you've got a pen and paper on hand, or you've got the ability to type, because I'm actually going to make this coaching call really practical. I've been on so many coaching calls throughout the past 5 years, 6 years, however long it's been. And I've always found the most useful coaching calls are those that actually have a practical essence to them, and you can take away. It's not just theory-based. I'm going to give you a lot of theory, but by the same token, I'm going to give you some really invaluable tools from which you probably won't have utilized or seen before, which are potentially going to be completely life-changing. So who is up for changing their life on the back end of this coaching call? Yes, thank goodness for that. Awesome. All right, so that's the first thing. Pen and paper or ability to type would be epic. The second thing is, guys, perfectionism is outlawed. There is no perfectionism, all right? I want you to use your intuition and rough it. So I'm not going to give you too much time. The webinar is probably going to go over time. I'll just let you know, because I get so passionate about just coaching and helping and giving. But by the same token, I'm not going to spend too long on each activity. So as I said, no perfectionism, just use your intuition, rough it. Joel is recording the webinar anyway, so you'll be able to go back and watch it if you want, all right? Third thing, I will leave a bit of time, I was going to say at the end or after the webinar for questions themselves, and I'll also allow a bit of time throughout the actual activity as well, if need be, for some questions. And there is no such thing as a stupid question, all right? There's no such thing as a stupid question. Hey, Joel, my internet's coming up as being unstable. If I'm cutting in or out, just let me know, Joel, and I'll see if I can connect in another way. But yeah, so no such thing as a stupid question, right? If you've got a question, I guarantee that a number of other people have got the same question. They just don't have they just don't want to ask it themselves, all right? Cool. Everyone cool with those things, yes? Yes or yes? Yes. Awesome. All right. So what I thought I'd do is I'm just going to really go over a very bridged version of my own story, just to give you guys a bit of an insight as to who I am, where I've come from, and more importantly, why I do what I do, which is going to be a little bit of a theme, actually, that's going to roll into the content that I've got for the remaining coaching call. So my own story in brief really started, I didn't know it started at the time, but in hindsight, started when I was 12. My mum, unfortunately, passed away from breast cancer. I've got identical twin brothers who are 2 years younger than I am. One of them's a physio, the other's a doctor. So in hindsight, I think we all got exactly the same kind of lesson from that particular event, which is that you just can't take your health for granted. You can have as much money as you want. You can have the best relationships on the planet. But as soon as your health starts to deteriorate to the point at which you become incapacitated, either mentally or physically, life is just not really worth living. So yeah, since that time, I became a personal trainer. I did that as soon as I got my first class sports management degree. Got thrown straight into a gym, no experience of sales, marketing, nothing. I think I was about 18 years of age at the time, and I had to pay, I think it was £320 a week in rent at the time, and I had about a month's worth of savings. So it was a nice introduction to the whole job or business world, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I was that guy that kind of awkwardly walked around the gym, like putting my head around the side of a treadmill while people had their headphones in, trying to catch their attention without annoying them, and ask them if they wanted a free personal training session. That's how I started my whole career. Built a really successful business in the end. In the particular gym I was in, I was even featured in a Sky One program called Fat Families, which was interesting, with a presenter called Steve Miller, who was crazy. He was a hypnotherapist actually at the time. Didn't have a clue about hypnotherapy. I just thought it was a whole load of baloney, to be completely honest with you, at the time. But yeah, really awesome experience. And off the back end of that personal training, although I loved what I was doing, I'd help people lose 30, 40 kilos in 12 months. I get phenomenal results. I eventually ended up feeling completely inauthentic, really, as to what I'd set out to do in the first place. So obviously, as I alluded to previously, like the reasons to why I do what I do is or the void that is inside of me that really drives me to fulfill my mission and purpose is really mum, if I'm going to be honest. And what I realized with personal training is that it just wasn't good enough to provide sustainable results. 80 to 90% of the clients I was helping would get great results, but after a short period of time I'd be working with them, that either fall back to square one, or they wouldn't be any happier than they were even once I'd helped them lose the weight. They'd still wiggle their arm. They'd have, bingo wings. A lot of the clients I had happened to be females through, I believe, the law of attraction. Or they'd still have cellulite, underneath the bottom of their butt, or there'd be something wrong anyway. So yeah, I realized that there was a lot more to actually helping people change their life and have a sustainable way to help people with their health than just personal training. So I went out looking for some solutions. I actually did some multi-level marketing with a particular company, which is a phenomenal experience. It was actually the time when I had my first mentor, and he's an incredible human being and individual. I realized eventually I wasn't as passionate about the products as I could have been, which is probably why I didn't succeed as well as I'd like to have done in that industry or that business. I ended up going to Chile and doing galvanic spa demonstrations on women on a day-to-day basis, and it just wasn't quite congruent with who I am. I'm quite a big muscly guy, and I was applying, face stuff. It just didn't work out in the end. But it was an awesome experience. I then ended up working with Michelle Bridges directly. I did a whole bunch of things. I managed to the larger Fitness First clubs in Sydney. Loads and loads of things to try and find this missing piece of the puzzle that personal training just didn't give me. In the end, I made a key error. And the key error was that I applied so much energy into acquiring whatever this was, this missing piece of the puzzle, that I largely forgot about myself. I ended up in a fair amount of debt, largely through a student loan. I had a child on the way, and Jenny, my wonderful wife, who for some reason is still with me, we were due to get married in 9 months' time, and we had a child due in 6 months' time, and I had no way to support them. So completely mentally stuffed. I met a gentleman called Luke, who Joel and I did our NLP training through, and ended up getting in front of a room of 50 people. I cried for 20 minutes, letting go of this disempowering subconscious belief of mine that I wasn't good enough to succeed. Later found out that success was my number one value. So you can imagine the arguments I was having internally. And the rest is history. I launched a health and fitness online program, which combined the nutritional exercise and now mindset expertise I had. And now I also include a lot of spirituality incorporated into the whole thing. I earned $8,000 in 10 days. I didn't even know what I was doing in terms of marketing. My fear just kind of dissipated. I spoke to people. I did Facebook Lives. I just did whatever it took, basically. And since that time, it's just grown and grown and grown. And today, my company, Mastermind and Body, to the best of my knowledge, is the fastest growing mind and body transformation company in Australia. I've got a full-time breakthrough coach in Sarah. She's unbelievably good. We've got a virtual assistant in Venezuela. And the mission from here is to change the lives of 10 million people, both directly and indirectly, through charitable organizations as well. And I don't really care what it takes. I'm going to do it. So that's me in a nutshell, if that makes sense. I've also got 2 daughters, a 3-year-old and a 5 to 6 month-year-old as well. So I'm still not sleeping. So if at any one point in time I become a little bit sleepy, it's not you guys. I'm just, still not sleeping. But Anyway, all right. So that's a bit about me, and that's that. So I guess in summary from my own story, there are just a couple of different takeaways that I wanted to provide you all with before I actually get onto the content of the webinar. And by the way, the content of this webinar, or the subject, is living a fulfilled and inspired life. So living a fulfilled and inspired life. That's the content or the subject of the webinar. I'm just going to look at a few of the comments, guys, as I go here. You're good so far. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Cool. Yeah, so that's the subject of the webinar, living a fulfilled and inspired life. All right. So from my story, there are two major, I guess, takeaways I want to provide you with. The first and foremost is focus on failing. The quicker you fail, the quicker you succeed. Like, you'll have heard this, if you've been in personal development for any period longer than probably a month, you'll have heard this time and time again, but it's so true. You seriously need to focus on failing, and you actually need to embrace failing. I love failing. It's awesome, because failure equals growth. The only way in which you fail is when you get outside of your comfort zone, and the very definition of insanity is doing the same things expecting a different result. So by the very nature, in order to grow, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. And when you get outside of your comfort zone, you are going to inevitably fail from time to time, because you're performing activities that you haven't done before, which is reasons to why you're outside of your comfort zone. Right? Does that make sense? So growth equals success, progress equals happiness, and failing is inevitable. All right. So that's the first one. And the second one is just really living your truth by doing what you love. All right. Like, the truth is, guys, is that I actually didn't really ultimately know what I wanted to do in my life. I just knew that I had a passion for helping people, or prevent people from ending up in the same kind of situation that Mum did, really. So I just knew health was my calling. That's all I knew. I just went into personal training. I took action immediately. I didn't worry about the negative consequences of potentially being, not being able to pay or afford my gym rent. I just threw myself in there. And then through taking plenty of action, it breeded a hell of a lot of clarity, right? So action does breed clarity, but you've really got to have a good fundamental understanding about what you're passionate about before you start to take it, in my opinion. All right. So yeah, live your truth by doing what you love. And ultimately, you really, from a business standpoint, there are three different things that for me encompass living your truth and being fulfilled. Number one is doing something that you're passionate about, doing what you love. In other words, you have to find what you love. All right. Otherwise, it's just too difficult to really create a vast amount of change amongst society. The second thing is you've got to do something that's obviously profitable. Right? It must make you a living. Otherwise, you've got to do something else that takes you away from your passion. And the third thing is you've got to find something that you believe is your purpose. You believe that you've put on the planet to do, and that you're particularly naturally good at in a way. And I'm not saying that every single facet of what you're doing you're going to be good at, because you're not. But ultimately, whatever it is, there's a certain aspect of that you've got to be good at. For me, it was literally just valuing my health so highly that, as a natural consequence of me valuing my health, having witnessed what I did as a young child, that naturally inspired people to do the same. If that makes sense. So was I good at marketing? No. Was I good at sales? Absolutely not. Was I any good at delivery? No. These are all skills, right? But the innate, passion and, I guess, high intrinsic value of health automatically started to create inspiration for others. And, the fact of the matter is, guys, is if you're doing something that you're passionate about and that is profitable, but is not your purpose, you'll be happy but fake. So passion and profit with no purpose is like happy but fake, right? Profit and purpose with no passion is money but bored, right? Profit and purpose, no passion, money but bored. And then purpose and passion, okay, without profit is engaged but broke. That's not much better either. So you really need all three to live in alignment with your truth, all right? Cool. So that's an introduction to my story. Part one, the next thing I'm going to go over, guys, is like the basis of fulfillment. And every time I change from part to part, I will have a look at the chat and see if there are any questions or anything there as well, guys, that I can answer quickly. Don't worry if I don't answer questions. I'll certainly answer them at the end. But yeah, cool. Awesome. Got it. Hitting home. Love it. All right. Cool. So the basis of fulfillment, right? Who actually has, if you're going to be really honest and vulnerable, and if you can please continue to be really vulnerable throughout the entire coaching call, that would be amazing, guys. Vulnerability is strength. It's not weakness. I found that out the hard way, but it really is. So who honestly understands what the basis of fulfillment is, or how to actually become fulfilled in life? Like if you do, just say yes. If you don't, just put a no in the comments box, just so I've got an idea. So who actually understands the basis of fulfillment or how to become fulfilled? Okay, we've got Rachel, yes. Some gratitude. I believe I get it, but struggling to integrate and live it. Awesome. Love the vulnerability, Sharon. It's epic. Helping others, living your values from Christy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So the way in which we're actually fulfilled and constantly inspired in life, all right, comes from our ability to be meeting the realistic expectations of each area of our life based on how we value them. I'll say it again, all right? So the way in which we're actually fulfilled and inspired and constantly inspired in life, right, comes from our ability to be meeting the realistic expectations of each area of our life based on how we value them, not how our parents value them, not how, you know, society values it or based on any kind of societal expectations. It's how we value them. All right. So it means that it's impossible to have each of these areas perfect by other people's standards. It's just not doable. And this is why, as well as the definition of insanity being doing the same things and expect a different result, it's also completely and utterly insane to care about what anybody else thinks, because everybody else has completely different intrinsic values to you. So if you're one of those people who really struggles with, you know, caring about what other people think, I'm telling you now, it's insane, because they have different values intrinsically to what you have. So don't care about what they think, because it's not important. What's important is what you think. All right, that's that in practicality. That's easily said, but to tell you the truth, guys, the way in which you actually start to actually live a really authentic life, which is congruent with who you truly are intrinsically, you have to believe in yourself and have the confidence in your own ability to perform actions that are truly authentic to who you are and what's important to you, not anybody else. All right, and that's just a whole bunch of mindset stuff. But yeah, everyone cool with that? Yes? Everyone understand the basis of fulfillment? Yeah. It's not earning loads of money. It's not having a certain number of children. It's not any of those things necessarily, all right? It's the realistic expectations of each area of our life based on how we value them, all right? Cool. All right, so let's go on to part two. This is where the practicality comes in, guys. So as I said, if you can have paper and pen at the ready, or alternatively, if you've got the ability to type, that's just as good. So the first thing that I actually want you to do to get the most out of this activity is I want you to actually determine the meaning of each value. This might sound like really simplistic to start with, but just trust me, as we go through, you'll see the value in doing this. So I actually want you to write down 7 different areas, and I'm going to give the areas on a piece of paper. And I'm going to get you to actually determine the meaning of each of those values. All right. So the 7 areas, number 1 is health, not in any particular order, guys. So number 1 is health. So just write down these areas. Number 2, growth. Number 3, family. Number 4 is fun. Number 5, finance. Number 6 is career. And number 7 is partner. All right, so we're going to use those different 7 areas of our life. And what I want you to do, remember what I said at the start, no perfectionism, use your intuition, just rough it. The webinar is recorded, but I want you to write a real quick meaning for each different area. So what does healthy look like for you, right? So healthy might look like going to the gym 3 times a week. It might look like eating a vegan diet. It could look like meditating once a day. It could look like doing a weekly walk like Joel does on a Sunday, whatever it looks like to you, all right? So determine the meaning of each area. Really, really quickly, just rough it, guys. Put 2 or 3 bullet points for each, and then we're going to move straight on to the second part. You can always do this again in your own time, more comprehensively. What does growth look like for you? How do you know that you're growing? Do you do a certain amount of personal development? Do you read a certain number of books every year? You know, do you focus on growing spiritually? Like, what does growth look like for you? And do the same for family, fun, finance, career, and partner. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, guys. You know, when you get up to finance, like, you know, what is financial freedom to you? Is it having $200,000 in your bank account? Is it earning $15,000 a month? Is it, you know, what does that look like for you? All right, 1 minute, guys, 1 minute. Cool. All right. Oh, what's happened there? Oh, that's it. Yeah, cool. Okay. Part 3 then, guys, is actually going to be determining what mastery in each area looks like. So what we've just done is determining the meaning for each area, basically, and what you deem to be good or acceptable, or like it might be an initial goal that you've got. I then want you to use exactly the same 7 areas, and just underneath where you've bullet pointed those, use the same areas. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes. I want you to determine what ultimate mastery in each area looks like. Like if I was, just imagine for a minute, right, that I'm a magician and I've got a magic wand, and I said to you in 6 months' time, you can be, do, have, feel, whatever way you want it to feel in each area of life, like whatever it would be. I'm a genie in a bottle. I'll give you whatever you want. And I literally now want you to determine exactly what mastery in each area looks like. Ultimate mastery. Once again, just rough this, guys. Go with your intuition. And just jot down briefly for each of the 7 points. So Christy's seeing that cut out for me. I'll repeat it again for you, Christy. So yeah, essentially what I want you to do now is determine what ultimate mastery looks like in each of those different areas. So if I waved a magic wand and I said in 6 months, you can be, do, have, or feel in whatever way you wanted in each different area, what would that look like? How would you describe that? Or what would it sound like? All right, 1 minute, guys. Yeah, great question. So Sharon's got a question. It says, some of mine are looking the same as first time around. How would you distinguish the difference? So literally the first task, Sharon, was determining kind of the meaning for each of those. So what does being healthy look like? Whereas mastery is forgetting all the other areas of life. If you could be like the ultimate healthy version of you, what would you be doing? So for example, if you'd put healthy to you at the moment looks like working out 3 times a week. It looks like eating really, really religiously 75% of the time or 80% of the time, and meditating once a day. You might say, well, ultimate mastery would look like training 10 times a week. It'd be eating a completely clean diet 95% of the time, and it would be meditating twice a day for 20 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. Just as a brief example. So if you think about a CrossFit athlete, you might compare yourself to that. I don't know. It's dependent on whatever mastery looks like for you. But in saying that as well, Sharon, there's no major problem with them having the first and the second bit quite similar for this task. It's fine. Whatever you've done is great. Does that make sense, Sharon? Does that help a bit? Yeah, like going to another level. Exactly. Thinking bigger. Thinking bigger. Yeah, I'll tell you guys something really, really funny as you're doing that. Actually, I'm moving house at the moment. Thinking outside of the box, exactly. I'm moving house at the moment. I've just moved to Coco on the northern beaches, and as part of the moving, we obviously had to pack all of our stuff. And I was going through some old. I go through literally an A4 notepad. I'd say probably every 6 weeks or so at the latest. But I went through an old notepad of mine, and I'd written down a goal. I can't remember when the time frame was, but it was to be earning $25,000 a month doing what I love. And I'm quite easily achieving that now. But I just used to write it religiously, like literally every single day in the back of my book until I filled at least one A4 sheet of paper every morning. I still do that. Just my goals have expanded. But the point of what I was doing is just getting my mind to think differently and consciously focusing on what I want. And as a consequence, because your brain and nervous system act as one organ, and your nervous system is designed to create behaviors based on whatever it is that you're focusing on, you'll start to intrinsically, automatically figure out ways and perform actions that are congruent with achieving the goal. So I'm just getting you to think a bit bigger in summary. All right. Cool. All right. The next thing we're going to do, and this is where it gets really, really cool. So, and this is also where you need the download. So for anyone that wasn't on the call when I was mentioning this, if you all look in the chat box, you know, click chat. If you don't know where that is, at the bottom of the Zoom call, you'll see a tab next to share called chat. I don't know where that is on mobile if you're using a mobile. But if you go right to the top of the chat section, I've put a link there, a Dropbox link. And if you haven't already, I'd really love you to open that. If you need to actually minimize this call, then just do it. As long as you can hear me, you don't need to see me, which is great. And I want you to each open up or download that. And just give me a few messages on here saying, yes, got it, or it's working or something. That'd be great. Got it. Awesome. Kyla's got it. Emma's got it. Excellent. I'll give you another couple of minutes, guys, to download that if you're struggling to do it. Yeah. Okay, Chris. I'll upload it again now. Give me 1 second, guys. Actually, I should just be able to paste it again. Yeah, there you go. All right, I've just uploaded the link again, guys, if you need it. Yeah, someone's downloading. Cool. All right, so as you're downloading that, I'll explain what we're going to do. There are two tables, right? And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a system for actually determining the order of importance of each different area, value each area. There are numerous different ways in which you can elicit values, but for the sake of this particular webinar, we're going to keep it to those 7 different core areas as being values, all right? And I'm going to help you determine the order of importance for those 7 different areas of your life. Right? So what you are going to do is you're going to rate each of those areas. If you have a look at it, or actually it's not 0 to 7, it's 1 to 7. 7 being high, 1 being low. And there are 7 different kind of boxes that I'm going to use and take you through. You can see where it says talk, think, care, time, money, enjoyable, skillful, and then there's a total column. So essentially, once again, I want you to use your intuition with this. There's no perfectionism. The first column there says talk, post on a daily basis, and whichever one it is, you'll know it intuitively. Just put a 7. next to the area in the box. So if it's health, you put a 7 underneath talk. If it's growth, it's a 7. Whichever then precedes it is a 6. Whichever is third is a 5. 4 is 4. 3 is 2. 2 is 2, and 1 is 1. So 7 is high, 1 is low. So whichever of those areas you talk about the most, put a 7 next to it underneath talk. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes? Awesome. I've got a couple of nods, which is good. Ten seconds, guys. Just use your intuition. You can do this again if you want. Okay, second column is which do you think about the most on a daily basis? So whichever of those areas you think about most on a daily basis, you're going to put a 7. The second is a 6, the third is a 5, etc. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, third box is which do you care about the most presently? So right in this present moment, there's no right or wrong, just put what do you care about most? 7 for the highest value, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Christy's asked, is it bad if you have a hard time getting the answer? No, it's not. It's not bad at all. It probably just means that you could do with, once again, work on your intuition a bit. Christy, if you're very AD, i.e. auditory digital, in other words, if you're always a Y-type person like I am, who's constantly thinking and is very conscious, stuck in your head and struggles to get into your heart at times, then things like meditation and stuff will massively help just to get into your intuition a bit and just trust your gut. I can totally relate to what you're asking, is what I'm saying, Christy. So no, it's not wrong. It's just an area for growth, maybe. So well done, you failed. Epic job. Time for growth. All right, cool. Next one is which do you spend time on? So what do you spend the most time on currently on a day-to-day basis? Which area do you spend the most time on? Okay, 10 seconds, guys. Should be getting good at this. You'll find some of them score highly all the time, which is normal. Yeah, Sharon, very telling exercise. Yeah, you wait and see when we finish this thing, Sharon. But yeah. Okay, next one is which do you spend the most money on? Yeah, and really try, guys, not to do this based on what you would like it to be, but just be really vulnerable and honest with yourself and put down what it actually is. This exercise is a waste of time if you're putting down what you want it to be. It's got to be what it actually is. Right? So the next one is which of those do you enjoyably do best? Or which, it's not best, it's just which do you enjoyably do? So which of those areas do you enjoy the most currently in doing? Is it being healthy? Is it growing? Is it being around and spending time with family? Is it having fun? Is it looking after finances and investing in different ways? Is it career progression? Or is it spending time with your partner? Or spending money on your partner or whatever else? So which do you enjoyably do most? Okay, 10 seconds. And then last but not least, what do you skillfully do best? So what do you naturally, what do you not have to think about and do particularly well? Which area comes most naturally to you? Do you do most skillfully out of those 7? And then guys, once you've done that, you're going to total up the columns. So you're going to create the total for health, total for growth, family, fun, finance, career, partner. So once you've finished it, just get a calculator if you're not particularly great at maths or mental arithmetic and add them up to find your total. And then obviously once you've found your total, guys, you can then order them in an order of importance at present. You might be surprised, you might not be surprised. But whatever the answer is, it will tell a story. Awesome, guys. I'll give you another 30 seconds to do this. I know I'm getting you to do this pretty quickly, but actually, no, I'll give you another couple of minutes. Have a couple of minutes. And then I actually want to get a couple of people that are vulnerable enough to take themselves off mute for me to ask a couple of questions to help the group. All right. Let me know how we're going for time. Does everyone need a bit more time, guys? Just let me know if you need. If you need more time, just put more time in the comments box. If you're done, just put done. That would be awesome. Thanks, Simon. Kyla's done. Awesome. Oh, it's Liz. Yeah, Liz. All I can see is from Simon Walker, but yeah, Liz, fantastic. Where is Liz? Oh, there you go, Liz. And see you, Liz. Yeah, got it. There's Simon there as well, but thanks, Liz. Got it. All right, everyone's done. Cool. All right, so what I want to ask is has anybody actually got different values, or is anybody actually valuing areas of their life or an area of their life that they kind of, before this webinar, wish they weren't? Or would anybody like to be actually prioritizing an area of their life that they're currently not valuing? Is there anyone that's doing that? If there is, then just put a yes in the chat section. Awesome. Rachel, are you cool to unmute yourself?
Sure thing.
Awesome. Love it. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for popping on.
No worries.
Cool. So would you just tell me and the group, like, what have you got first and foremost? Like, what is the order?
So my highest score was growth, and that came out at 36. And then following behind at 35 was health and family.
Yeah.
And then behind that was finance, and then fun, career, and then my partner, way down at the bottom.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And so what would you like? What would you what would you kind of like that to be at the moment?
I actually want my work, my finance, my career to support my lifestyle, my family, my partner. So I don't know if I've done it right, but it's just all the big scores where I feel I have to put my time in right now is going to all the things that are going to support what I want eventually. So like fun, for example, fun is down at 21. I'm not having a lot of fun right now. I want to have more fun in my life. And the only way that I can see that right now is to build upon my growth, the growth of me, personal development, and my finance and the career side of things. So I don't know if it's an order of necessity to get to the fun, but I just feel like it's out of balance, and it's just a feeling of like abundance. I have a lot of abundance in all areas, but I guess my main focus right now is growing the business, the career side of things, and the finance, so I can support that fun aspect, so I can go out and have more fun with my family and give my partner more time than he currently gets.
Yeah, Rachel, this is perfect. This is so good. Can everyone see that, the highest values Rachel has are actually appearing kind of last in the thing? Like the first thing she mentioned is to actually, succeed in what she's doing in order to spend time and have more with a partner. And yet a partner is like down the bottom, right? Right down the bottom at the moment. Now, Rach, does success create happiness, or does happiness create success? You tell me.
Happiness creates success.
And why do you think you're not getting success at the moment based on this exercise?
It's
because you're not happy?
Oh, I am happy. I am very, very happy. I hate to use the word struggle, but I'm struggling with the demands and the necessities that life is placing upon me right now, and what I want to be actually doing. So it's kind of like nose to the grindstone, just get things done, because I'm just trying to make ends meet and make everything happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
What I would suggest, Rach, is that to get more happiness and fulfill, or just more happiness at the moment in the present, would be to actually prioritize and spend a bit more time, or prioritize the things that you actually ultimately care about the most, because you'll start to resent doing what you're doing in the business, etc. Right? You have sacrificed fun and your partner, which is such an incredible thing to do. Like, you're an amazing human being, in order to, in the long term, to get more of what you want. But you've sacrificed it so much, from what I can see and from the scores that you've given, that you're suffering with spending time with those people. So what I would highly recommend, and the reasons why I'm going to say this, is by actually doing more of what you actually love now. Stop being so hard on yourself. I guarantee you're really hard on yourself. True?
Yeah, I am a perfectionist, or I was. I'm in recovery.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job.
I'm a perfectionist in recovery. Yeah,
you're doing an amazing job. One of the things that I've really learned to do is, I started to do, and look, I'm not a perfectionist, or I haven't got this perfect in my life either, but is to actually enjoy, and my wife has a lot to do with this, Jenny, which is awesome, but is to actually enjoy life now. For so long, for years and years and years, I prioritized the things that I thought was going to help me enjoy my life in the future. And as a consequence, didn't really, if I was going to be completely vulnerable and honest with myself, wasn't enjoying what I already have now. Like, you have an amazing partner, you can enjoy this stuff now. And by actually allowing yourself to do that, and this is also a self-worth thing, right? I'm not going to go into too much depth and detail on here, but it's also a self-worth thing. And it's also knowing that you're deserving of enjoying yourself and spending that time with your partner now, instead of later on, because you haven't got to the place where you believe that you're deserving of doing those things. I know what it's like, because I've been there for so long. All right. But you just have to trust me. If you actually spend a bit more time doing what you ultimately love now, two things will happen. You will become happier and fulfilled by increasing joy in your life. And as a consequence, our behaviors come as a consequence of the emotional state they're in at any one point in time. So number one, you'll stay far more in control of your behavior. So with the time that you do dictate to your business, I 2 billion% guarantee, right? You'll be so much more productive with that shorter space of time that you've got. I guarantee at the moment, you're setting a lot of time to do business and all that other stuff. And a lot of it is wasted time. Like, I guarantee you could make so much more of that time by enjoying yourself and actually giving yourself so much more time in the things that you really love to do now.
Yeah.
That's number one. Second thing, law of attraction, right? You know, if I had a microscope on each cell of your body, right? We have 30 to 100 trillion cells in the human body, and each and every single one of those cells is vibrating an extremely high frequency. An emotional state is literally just conscious awareness of the speed at which every single one of those cells is vibrating, right? And when we're in a positive emotional state, our cells are vibrating at a higher frequency. When we're in a negative emotional state, our cells are vibrating at a low frequency. And you can only ever attract opportunities and things in life which are congruent with the speed at which our cells are vibrating. So the best quote that I've probably ever seen in any book was Richard Branson autobiography, when he said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, right? We make our own luck in life. And you will attract better opportunities through a better emotional state underlying. Like, you're automatically a bubbly and happy person, I can see, but underlying, I can sense there's a fair bit of low-level underlying chronic stress, which I have zero doubt is the same from everybody on this webinar. I'm just using you as an example, all right? And it's that deep subconscious, low-level chronic underlying stress of not being where you think you should be based on what you're doing at the moment that will not attract the opportunities that you're deserving of in life. And as a consequence as well, if you're not prepared to actually act upon those things, then you won't act upon them when you get them as well, or when you see them. So does that make sense, Rach? So what I'm telling you, you're doing an amazing job, full stop. You're doing a phenomenal job. Stop being hard on yourself, which I'm just guessing you're doing to a certain degree, and start to actually allow yourself to have more joy by like experiencing what you ultimately love right now. You don't have to wait for it. You can do it now, as well as achieving everything else that you want to do in life. And it's literally just a case of blocking out your time and valuing your time more by doing that. And at the same time, then I guarantee you'll be just as proactive, if not more productive, in the time that you have, or the shorter length of time that you take for your business. I guarantee it. Does it take some, courage to do what I'm saying? 150,000% yes. A lot of courage, but believe me, it'll serve you massively. It'll serve you massively. But
thank you. Yeah,
thanks so much for being.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I need to prioritize my time and value my time more. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you.
100%. And there's lots of other productivity tools and whatever else that I use in various stuff that I do to prove that point. But about productivity, like, we think we're productive, but we're not really. We're ultimately not. And that will make you so much more productive because, Rach, you'll be so much more grateful for what you do have now by actually experiencing more of it, so that will manufacture the motivation required to get through so many more tasks in the time that you dedicate to your business. It really will, because you're living what you're living now and you're experiencing it now, and it will just provide you with so much more motivation in the short term. That's how you manufacture motivation.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on. That's awesome.
No worries. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. All right. We're not going to have time for me to use any of their examples, but I hope that particular one example has been useful as to, like, just one of the ways or a couple of the ways in which you can really use this table. Like, that's just one way. All right. Now, the other thing that I actually, the other bit of opportunity work I'm going to set you all right? So I don't call it homework, because homework has a negative connotation. So it's opportunity work. Is if you have a look at that download, right? The second page that I put there is another table. And if you have a look on that particular table, there are 4 different columns. There's 7 areas of in order of importance is number 1. So now that you know the 7 areas and the order of importance, you can literally just plonk those into the table. The second thing that you've got is your 12-month goals for each area. So what this allows you, essentially what we're going to be doing here, or the opportunity task, what I want you to do is remember at the start where I said what fulfillment actually is. I'll just go through that brief definition that I gave you all for the first time. So definition fulfillment, as I said before, is literally, in fact, that's not what I gave you before. Yeah. So what I said is it's constantly, it's from our ability to be meeting the realistic expectations of each area of our life based on how we value them. Right. So this task is essentially setting realistic and relevant 12-month goals for each area of life. Right? Realistic and relevant being in terms of how you are valuing them, how much time you have in a day, and the importance that you're placing on each of them. You personally, not anybody else, but you personally. So when you go back to the table, you've got 7 areas of importance, number 1. The second column is 12-month goals for each area. Now, based on how important they are to you, you might want to reevaluate that, but how important they are to you. Where am I currently? So where am I at currently in relation to those goals? And what is the plan of action to achieve them over the next year? I thought I would do this now because we're about to hit the new year. So it'd be a very, very good time to properly action this table. So the 7 areas of importance, the 12-month goals, where you're at, and the actual specific plan of action to achieve those goals over the next 12 months. Cool. I've got some stuff on the chat. That was brilliant, guys. So tangible. Thank you, Sam. Absolute pleasure. So yeah, and one other thing as well that you might want to do, if, for example, you've got one of the areas that, another really useful exercise is if you've got one of those areas that you're not currently prioritizing that you wish you were, something that I get a lot of my clients to do is write out 50 reasons, 50 reasons as to why focusing or valuing that particular area of your life is going to massively improve all other areas. And you'll start to create neuro connections between prioritizing that area and fulfilling your highest values. So if you want to do that, guys, as well, that's another really cool task and opportunity, bit of work that you can do as well. Cool. I've actually stuck to the time. Amazing. Cool. All right. Well, Jolie, if you want to open up for Q&As or whatever else, go for it.
Mate, that was amazing. Does anyone have anything they want to ask Sam? Sharon has one. Okay, Sharon, ask away. Take yourself off mute.
Hi, this has been amazing. Just following up further from Rochelle's question and situation, I just want to set a scenario for what happened with me today briefly so that I can get some more out of this, because I've just got a few areas that I'm struggling with. So I'm pretty dedicated to my family, and I feel like although they ranked really highly, I feel like I'm sacrificing a lot of my own personal time on my career and work that's very fulfilling to me. And today I spent quite a lot of time, I guess it felt like everything else just continually trumped my own intention to sit down and do work for myself. And then, you know, hubby and I had a bit of a blue over it because he was like, well, you made choices to go to the shop and get groceries. You made choices to be with my daughter and take her to story time like we do. You made choices to go to the gym. So while I kicked a lot of goals today, I still didn't get my important work done. So I think we all have that work-life balance struggle, and I just wanted your insight, Sam, as to how I might be able to stop letting my work continually come second and, you know, to get to 8:30 at night and go, now I've got to sit down and do my proper fulfilling work.
Yeah, great question, Sharon. That's awesome. Man, I could answer this in so many different ways, but yeah. So in fact, before I answer this just off the cuff, what does your partner do, Sharon? Like what are from a career perspective, what does your partner do? Question 1. And question 2, what are your goals as a family?
So my husband's a detective, and as a family, it's probably to although we spend a lot of time together, I think at the moment it's got to a point where from my perspective, there's been a bit more complaining than usual about being so dedicated to the family and not having maybe as much help. So therefore my other stuff gets compartmentalized over here and I never get to it. So I don't know if that really answers what you were asking, but
yeah, no, it does. It totally does. And from a career standpoint, what do you do currently, Sharon? What is your business?
I'm an author, and ironically, I write about a lot of these topics, but I struggle sometimes for myself to apply it to my own life. I help a lot of other people with the same things that I have struggles with, but forget about my own self, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different sides to this. Like, number one, you're obviously not intrinsically, you don't intrinsically value your business as much as other areas, which is evident in the actual task that we've just done. There are a couple of things you can do about this. Number one, you can manufacture motivation, right, in order to actually propel your business further. And there are a few ways in which you can manufacture motivation, but ultimately one of the greatest ways or the way in which you manufacture motivation ultimately is through inspiration. Let's just attack this point first and foremost. So it goes inspiration, motivation, gives you progress, gives you success, gives you more inspiration, more motivation. It's like ripping you off the hamster wheel and putting you on a high-powered Ferris wheel. And the way in which you inspire yourself on a daily basis to do what you really are not intrinsically, naturally motivated to do is by revisiting your why in as many different ways as you can.
Okay.
So tell me what you're doing to do that at the moment. To be, if you're going to be completely honest with me, Sharon, like how many times a day do you actually revisit your why, if any?
The why of
purposely.
The work that I
why you're being an author, why you want the successful business. Absolutely. Like how many times do you actually purposefully ingrain that into your day? Like truthfully.
Well, I believe I've got messages to share with the world. So there's a passion there for that work, but I'm not allocating the right amount of time to be able to take that to where it needs to go.
No, that's okay. What I meant, Sharon, is how many times a day do you actually sit down and write out or think about or revisit your why? Do you ever do that? Do you ever remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing purposefully? I
probably need to be more active in that area.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. No, that's perfect. All right. So one of the number one way in which, so I'll tell you how I start my day, right? I start my day with what I call the morning ritual. The morning ritual, or my ritual, comprises of 3 different components. There's gratitude, there's empowering statements, and there's visualization. So let's just skip to the third part, the visualization. What I essentially do with that is I close my eyes, play a song, and I create a clear visual representation as to why I am doing what I am doing every day. In other words, why I am doing my business and what the business is really about. So I'll actually tell you exactly what I visualize. My number one visualization is me taking my family, flying my whole close family and some mentors and whatever else to a third world country in Africa. I will be a philanthropist and have 3 charitable foundations, one of which we call the Lindsay Brent Foundation, right? So name of my mum. So I fly my whole family to a third world country. I pay for their plane tickets. They have no idea or concept as to why I'm doing it. I just tell them that they need 2 weeks off and I'm paying for them to come on a trip. We eventually get to this location, jump out of the car. My 2 daughters and I run out first. We're embraced by these little African children with like big eyes and whatever else. It's pretty cool because they've seen us before. Everybody else is like, what the hell's happening? Walk around the corner and all of a sudden they see this big Lindsay Brent Foundation. It's to prevent people from, dying from cancer in that particular country. And obviously all my family get really emotional. And it's, I've done that to obviously honor mum and show that her death was not in vain, but also that visual representation to me is attributing all of my top values with why I'm doing what I'm doing every single day. To be a role model for my children. For me, the best way I can be a role model for my children is to show them, not tell them, show them that they can do whatever they want if they set their mind to it. Number one. Number two, I want to change 10 million people's lives. So for me to have that charitable organization, I must have changed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives, to have the financial capacity to do that. So what I'm saying is that visual representation of what I'll achieve as a consequence of everything that I get done in that day and future days, being attributed to my top values, manufactures the motivation I need to be productive and get my business tasks done.
Yeah.
It's like, it's essentially helping make the small, what would ordinarily be mundane tasks into exciting opportunities, because you're attributing them to the bigger picture.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Another thing that I do after that, I write down 15 goals. 15 goals every morning after I do that. Every single day. I'm continually like focusing on exactly what I want to do and manufacturing the motivation to do it. Like energy goes wherever focus, or energy flows wherever focus goes. So that's how you constantly inspire yourself to motivate yourself to do what you don't value on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's one way.
That's amazing.
The other way, Sharon, as well, I was kind of alluding to earlier, is certain amount of subconscious reprogramming. And there are two ways in which you can do that without using some kind of psychological intervention. Number one is through repetition. So one of the prime directives or functions of your subconscious brain is it takes a lot of repetition for a new habit to be formed, right? So it's like faking it until you make it. If you create empowering statements or positive affirmations, which are congruent with achieving in your business, and you repeat them enough, creating ideally a change in your physiology, because your subconscious is far more likely to uncritically accept those suggestions, and you repeat them enough on a daily basis, you'll start to rewire the way in which your brain, subconscious brain, functions. So you'll start to naturally perform actions that are congruent with what you're not doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like manufacturing motivation and rewiring your brain.
Yeah.
The other way in which you can do that after the age of 8 is also through kind of self-hypnosis. So throughout the period of time from being awake to asleep, our brain waves slow to theta as opposed to alpha, beta, or delta, which essentially just means that we're operating at the same frequency as we were in the first 7 years of our life, right? So we are far more likely to uncritically accept positive suggestions in that time. So record yourself saying the same things, put music, play it back to yourself as you sleep.
Yeah. This is
manufacture motivation, rewire your brain.
This is gold. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have a question before I hit him with the special one? No? All right, Sam. This is the question that I ask everyone. Mate, if you had a billboard and the entire world could see it, what would you write on it? What would your message be for the world?
What a great question. You only live once. So live life on your terms. Probably that.
Sorry, I'm taking notes.
No, all good.
Sam, mate, I can't thank you enough. And like, I know that this is just like the tip of the iceberg of what you have to give. I know that you have been gracious enough not to like mention like too deep what you do, but like I know that the lives that I've seen you change just by following you has been tremendous, and the transformations that you're creating in women's lives and the way that you can help them with their mind, body and soul and give them the life that they want so they can keep it for a lifetime. Like, I know that's not your exact catchphrase. I actually memorized yours. I know it. But, mate, it's huge. And, look, if you guys want to follow Sam, follow him on Facebook. And what's your where can they find you on Facebook, mate?
Yeah, just Sam Brent. I'm always the first one to come up. So surname is Brent. Just have a search, white shirt, NLP master practitioner, and yeah, be happy to add you. If you're going to do that, I'd suggest doing it like tonight after this call, just purely on the basis that I don't know about you guys, but I literally get, I reckon, 10 to 15 invites a day, of which most of them I don't accept because I don't know who they are. So yeah, if you want to do that, guys, like add me this evening. I'll be more than happy to do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, just say that, hey, you're on the call, and there'll be some people watching this on the replay, and hopefully you share this with your team, guys, and anyone that you know that you love and care about, because this really has been a game changer. And like I said, Sam's got so much more knowledge than he's able to share in an hour. And I'm just so grateful that you're on here tonight, mate. So thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure, Joel. Testament to you, brother. So, and yeah, it looks like you're doing an awesome job with this group as well. So, no, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate your time, as Joel said as well, and I really hope that's been useful.
Thank you, guys. I'll catch you guys all next week and in the group. Thank you, Sam.